It's 8 p.m. Hello, everyone. We're on an adventure, and today is January 28th, 2026. Today's live stream, Casting Out Satan. It could be written as Modulating Our Inner Demons, but the title is Removing Satan from the Room. What's the idea? Sometimes I enter a room and something feels heavy. It's not the room, it's not the environment, it's not the people, it's me. But it's not exactly me. Something is heavy. That's the problem. That's the situation. That's what we're going to talk about today. So, this live stream today, which is about removing Satan from the room, the idea is specifically when you reach a point of no return, hold on, let's think and let's look for a way back. So, the idea is how are we going to remove, how are we going to change this feeling? I arrived at the place, it gave me a bad feeling. It felt awful. It's not the place, it's not the people there. It's me, but it's not quite me. It's something different. And we're going now. Let me interpret this a little more. Obviously, I took a parapsychology course with a professor named Father Quevedo. Way back in the day, around 1988 or 89, I was with Quevedo. I really liked Quevedo. He's passed away now. And he gave a parapsychology class where he taught how to exorcise demons. One of the things he said, which I thought was the ultimate way to expel demons when the demon is present removes the audience. If you remove the audience, the demon disappears. That's more or less the idea he had, and it worked well. He worked well, but that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about removing Satan from the room or modulating your inner demons in a different way. I understand what's happening to my body when I lose control. I understand. I mean, I'll understand that I've lost control. Okay, I've lost control, but it's valid. No, I've lost control. No, no, I have to come back. How do I get back to normal after I lost control? And today we're going to try to talk about that. We're going to talk a lot about RMSSD. RMSSD. Root means square difference between an R pulse and the R wave of the heart. The heart, the ventricle, when it contracts the ventricle, okay? It has the atrium and it has the ventricle. When the ventricle contracts, it gives an R wave, R wave, R wave. The difference between R and R can be decreased, it can increase, and it can be fixed. When it's fixed, this average difference doesn't increase. This RMSD doesn't rise. It stays still. It remains fixed. But if there starts to be a difference from there to here, sometimes the heart beats, sometimes it doesn't. This RMSD increases. Most of the time, we want that RMSD, relative monthly rate of suspended, to increase so we can feel more at ease. That way, the heart won't turn into a clock. It varies, it varies. When the heart rate varies, we're better. When the heart rate doesn't vary, the problem is bigger. And it's not quite like that. That's what we're going to try to talk about today. It's not quite like that either, because there are times when the heart rate won't vary, when you need it not to vary. It will become a pacemaker, especially if its frequency increases. It needs that pacemaker. The tense self. Sometimes he gets hijacked by ideologies and beliefs. He freezes in the wrong place. So when we talk about these metaphors of inner demons and Satan, we're talking precisely about this blockage. It blocks you. It's you. It wasn't others. It's in me. It's in you. So we're going to try to see if we can break this blockage, this tension in the self. It's more or less like this. When you get caught up in an ideology, when you start thinking, when you get stuck at a certain point, there was a time I even talked to a guy who wanted to do some kind of therapy. And I said to him, okay, what are you? What do you want to change? Look, I am this is who I am, this is who I want to be. Hold on, that's fixed, that's stuck. You don't need therapy anymore. You are this and you want to be this. You're reaping what you sow. If you do the same thing and think the same way, you'll reap the same results. It's basic. If I want to be this, I am this. Do I want to be this? You don't need therapy. What for therapy? What for therapy? So, really, therapy is for you to become more flexible in your beliefs. I have a specialty. Truly, I specialize in political things, in religious things, in things of human consciousness, neuroscientific things. I like to make these three things more flexible on all three bases. Politics, how can I move and see the person as more flexible? Religious beliefs, how can I help people become more flexible in their religiosity or compared to others? And in terms of consciousness, how can that individual's consciousness be more flexible? I will always address these three specific areas. But now we are talking about that self, that evil being you become when you become blocked. And it's not when something gets stuck, because sometimes getting stuck is necessary for something to be done. It's when you get stuck and can't get out. Stuck, 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 stuck. It's more difficult, and we're going to try to get out of it, try to get out of this today, out of this thing, the hijacked tension self. What is a tension self? You have a lot of selves. You have a legion of selves inside you. It's a legion of selves. You always think you're the same because it recruits the same place in your brain, and you'll always think you're the same person. But you're one thing before lunch, you're another thing at lunch, you're another thing after lunch, you're different before bed, you're sleepy when you wake up, you're different several times a day. You're different when you're playing ball, you're different when you're walking, you're different when you're lying down, you're different. Your tensional selves change. Furthermore, when you were a baby, you had a tension that was thirst and pain. Those are two tensions. And there were other tensions. And these tensions make your little body change and cry, express yourself. And this tension will connect all the perceptions that you are receiving through your ears, through your nose, ear, eyes, all these visions you're having enter the brain and cause the neurons to connect, trying to link all these things together. That's where the tensional self comes in. All the tensions you have in life when you were 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, but within that 1 year, morning, afternoon, each tensional self, it tried to gather all the information it had around it, sight, hearing, touch, heart, everything, everything. And it becomes a tensional self complex. It's the tensional self, right? Multiform, it's complex, it's a tensional self. And this tensional self, when it is hijacked by ideology, by some very rigid, very inflexible beliefs and narratives, what does this self do? It occupies the body, it becomes locked in the body. And now, the secret of today's live stream, he focuses his breathing. It impoverishes heart rate variability, that RMSSD, it will impoverish it. It makes it small. It doesn't vary as much. It silences your feelings. You no longer feel. You become a machine, a deadly machine. If it's not for others, it's for yourself. And that's where the problem lies. Beliefs, narratives, rigid narratives, ideologies. Let's address this a little because these beliefs, narratives, faith, belief, blind faith, especially ideology, have become stuck, occupied the body, and become fixed in the breath. We're going to dwell a lot on the breath, but now we're going to try to see the following. How does interest arise? What is the purpose of belief? What is the purpose of faith? What are narratives and ideologies for? So this comes from something I told you, and I really like to emphasize this because it's very important to emphasize this. Yanrami. Yanrami comes from an original people. They say that to hunt a certain animal, you have to imitate that animal. Okay, but the interpretation is somewhat extended. It's an interpretation I have that the baby starts imitating its parents, imitating those around it, imitating walking, imitating talking, imitating. By imitating, it will follow some logical processes of repeating things, imitating things. It will have some customs, it will have some habits. After these habits, imitating them, it will have some beliefs. Look, it does believe that it's easier to imitate, it's easier to do. If you believe in this way, you do better. And then you no longer question whether you need to believe or not. You simply believe in order to do better. And that is faith, okay? But after faith, you can become a great expert. And how can you have improved that faith? Better adjust your touch on the violin or the piano, or walk or run because you walk because you have faith. Because if faith ends, you don't walk anymore. Do you understand? Faith is for doing, belief is for doing, ideologies are also for doing. So, what do we have? Ideologies, beliefs, and narratives are often what make it so. And what's the problem, Jasso? When does the devil appear? When belief becomes reality. You are the belief. And it's no longer about doing, it's about being. He held his breath, he froze you, you can't change. It locked. And then it gets too complicated, and then it gets too complicated, and then we're going to stop. Today, quite a bit of time. We're going to go back and forth and back again. Here I'm going to start with breathing, okay? Now, let's talk about breathing. So the belief that you were supposed to have in order to do, the belief became a matter of being. I am Brazilian, I am Christian, I am atheist, I am whatever, I am righteous, I am belief, I am my faith, I am. You are a demon simply because you are stuck on a fixed expression. You use belief to feel good, you use your culture, you use your faith to generate well-being. It's not meant to be. And when you lose it, you are creating a very strong limb, something very powerful. And we are now going to configure this demon, these inner demons, this Satan I'm talking about, not Satan in the way people usually refer to him, but because I'm only talking about the internal aspect. So we're going to see how this manifests within you, how it manifests. Like, I entered a room, felt a little unwell, but the room was nice, the people were cool, everything was fine. And I was in the room, I felt bad, and I felt a part of myself that, man, it's not me. I don't control this part of myself. I freaked out, right? Sometimes when this happens, I look at my partner and say, let's go, things went wrong, let's go, no, good exit, let's go. But why did it suddenly freeze? Sometimes to get out of this freeze, look, you have to leave. If I'm leaving a room where this is happening, you have to leave innocently, not naively. It's very naive for me to arrive at a place and feel a little tension and want to leave innocently, not naively. Naivety is arriving at the environment, innocence is arriving at the environment, and you feel everything, you're feeling it, you have heart rate variability, and you feel the whole environment, and you feel all the people, and something tells you, man, just go. You leave and go, and you even say goodbye to her as you leave, and then you leave, go away, everything's fine. And the other thing is, you look at a person either because you don't like them or because there's something you need to see. I'm not staying here. So you threw a tantrum. You're not innocent anymore. You're naive. You think you know now because innocence is bodily. It's the body that speaks. Get out. Innocence is already a lot. Naivete is very intellectual. You think you know, no, I'll show you. I'll show you that I don't like being in this room because so and so is here, so I'm leaving. So naivete is that using your intellect. Innocence is moving away from something much bigger than yourself. Much bigger, you grab it and leave. Because in innocence, you have the body territory. The body territory is very broad. You have the tech aura, which is all this mixture of beliefs, ideas, and faith that you have. What you're eating, what you're feeling, and you've spread it all over the entire territory, which is this room. And suddenly, the innocence you feel, it's time to leave. You're already leaving. You realize you're leaving. Now, naivete. So and so arrived, I'm going to leave. It's an intellectual decision of right and wrong. Remember that every tyrant determines what is right and what is wrong. The dictator always says this is right and this is wrong. That's the beginning of the dictator. He knows what is right and what is wrong. In truth, things always get mixed up in a good democracy. Okay, let's continue. Breathe. When the demon gets to you, when you enter a place and you're stuck, this place is bad and there's nothing bad about it. This place is bad and there aren't any bad people in it. This place is bad and you feel something bad that isn't you. This moment, you're normal. You're not sick. You're not having a kidney crisis or anything like that. You're normal. And then this happened. These are signals. The body gave this signal. So this signal will lead you to something very aggressive where you're stuck and there's not much of a way out. And this point has to do with breathing. Breathing, what a ridiculous thing. Yes, breathing. So we're going to talk about breathing. What does breathing have to do with heart rate? What does breathing have to do with the sympathetic nervous system, the vagus nerve, right? The vagus nerve is a nerve that always sends signals to your brain to activate the sympathetic nervous system to keep you calm. The vagus nerve wants to keep you calm. So I can deactivate the vagus nerve to strengthen the sympathetic nervous system. Then you act faster, your heart rate increases. If I don't activate the vagus nerve, it simply relaxes you. It will naturally relax you. So if I deactivate the vagus nerve, I get nervous. If I activate the nerve, if I leave it active, it's constantly provoking you. You become more sympathetic, you become more active, your heart races. If you deactivate it, then you relax. So what deactivates the vagus nerve? When you inhale, I inhale. If I inhale, I am deactivating the vagus nerve. Deactivating the vagus nerve, yes, because the vagus nerve wants to keep you calm. It wants to make you vagal, tranquil. When I breathe, I go there and deactivate the vagus nerve. I'm not letting it work properly. I breathed. If I breathe and hold, I held. I'm strong. I'm deactivating the vagus nerve. It's as if I want to fix things now. And what about this heart rate variability from one pulse to the next? The RMSSD. It falls, it doesn't vary, it falls, it stays fixed. So when I do that and hold it, so I breathed, I held, it didn't vary. Jackson, but how high performance could it be if I breathed, held, inhaled air, held it, and did something at a high level? Synchronized swimming, where people, those swims, they pull in air, hold it, and make very fast movements that wouldn't happen without holding the air in their lungs. So these movements are extremely fast. I don't know if some artists will pull in air or play the piano or something to try to achieve that maximum movement, the maximum explosion, holding their breath for maximum expression, for maximum movement. So what happens when I'm inhaling? I'm deactivating the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve always wants to keep you calm. I deactivate it to get nervous, and I'm turning into a machine, a stopwatch. I become a stopwatch without variation because I inhaled the air and held the air. That's very important for us. So what happens? I inhaled the air and now I'm turning into a machine. Wow, I need this. Everyone needs this. Inspire. Let's do it. And look how interesting this thing is. Look, you inspire. Look at how the body projects and molds itself into something else. I breathe more like this, okay? I almost turn into a giant bear, right? Heavy, tense, with a much larger volume than I'm supposed to do. I'm going to do it. I was inspired to do it. But when I was inspired to do it, there are certain tensions that will keep my body in the position I want to be in, the position I want to get out of bed in. You're sleeping, you're calm, you're dreaming. Suddenly a dream comes, then another. That delightful feeling of sleeping, But suddenly you do this, you breathe too deeply, you deactivated the vagus nerve. Did you notice? You're going to wake up. Doctor, that's what we're talking about. When you inhale, you deactivate the neovato, and that's when you toss and turn in bed. You take a deep breath, and it feels like you've drifted off to sleep, and you're drifting off to sleep because it's time to get up. Let's go. So here we are. When I inhale, the variability of my heart rate, especially the RMSSD, it decreases. It doesn't vary. The pulse of the heart doesn't vary from pulse to pulse. You become a stopwatch. If I inhale and hold my breath, stopwatch doing it. Okay, I understand. And now when I exhale, when you exhale, you were inhibiting the vagus nerve, but you're not inhibiting it anymore. You're leaving the vagus nerve a little more free. If the vagus nerve is a little freer, you're going to increase heart rate variability. And this is important. I'm going to do something, okay? So I've prepared it and I'm going to do it. Look how interesting. And now I'm going to do the thing while actually letting out my breath. Now I exhale, but I'm still prepared to do it. I exhale and my body remains tense for a specific action, for playing, for walking, for something. Then I inhale, tense some muscles in certain places, and exhale. And the next time I breathe, it won't be as deep because my body is already prepared. I've stabilized my muscles for what I want to do, running, swimming, climbing a tree. I've prepared them. So when I went out now and stopped doing what I was doing, suddenly I have to breathe deeper than I prepared my body to do. For example, if I prepared my body like this, I exhaled and it stayed here, you see. And now I'm doing it. I stopped doing what was necessary to do. I want to loosen my shoulder. I can't because it's locked. I have to breathe more. And now I'm going to relax this shoulder. How? By letting out a breath. But now comes the idea, another step. You inhaled to do something. You tensed your body to do something. You held your breath and even did some things while holding your breath. And at that moment, your heart rate variability decreased significantly. Your RMSSD became almost fixed. The stopwatch didn't change. That's good. Okay. Then your vagus nerve went disabled. I inhibited the vagus nerve, which is what lets you wander, lets you relax. It's inhibited. You're focused on doing now. You inhale, you hold. That's doing it. That's good. But now the following happens. I've already done it. I've already exhaled. I've already inhaled less. Next time I didn't go so far. I've already done things. I want to relax. Now I'm really focused. And now I want to relax this. How am I going to relax this? One thing. When you exhale, there are two ways to exhale. You can exhale very quickly, forcefully, that relieves, or you can exhale slowly, that releases tension. Whoa, calm down. Okay, good. So, Jacques, you mean that when I inhale to do laundry, to wash the sidewalk, to walk, to run, to maintain things, to do my business, and then to relax, I have to exhale a little more and release the air slowly, as if it were terrified. At this moment of slowly exhaling, your heart rate variability increases. You move into zone two. You release your body's tension. That tension you had preventing you from doing it is gone. Slowly it unravels. It even cracked a little. It didn't even need to. It relaxed me. It was all good. He let her go. It undid whoever was going to do something. Okay, but if that person who was going to do it is based on an idea, a narrative, an ideology, a political or religious position, or a conscience, or whatever, they're going to freeze. They're going to freeze at a certain point and won't relax anymore because it's absurd. Someone in the room might disagree with what I think. And the muscle will remain locked in the room. The demon will stay in the room the whole time because there's no slow release of air to undo the body posture. So, okay, when I inhale, I inhibit the vagus nerve and leave the brain activated not to do it. When I exhale slowly, I let the vagus nerve do its work and the heart rate variability increases. But hold on, Nelson. I inhaled to do something. I needed to do it, buddy. So that's how breathing works. Safe, safe. Sure, and here you are putting it, and I have the same attitude I have when I do things. Safe. Look, let out a breath, and I exhale quickly. When I exhale quickly, I experience a release of tension. I'm exerting force. That's it. But I let it out quickly. When you exhale, there's a variability in frequency. It still increases a little. The vagus nerve is slightly deactivated, but only for a short time. And you've already inhaled again, you've become like clockwork again. Because now you're on the job in the thick of it, in the let's see, let's do it phase. But you're controlling your breathing to make it happen. And furthermore, at that moment, you can seek an ideology, a narrative, a belief, or a faith to maintain this doing because you're going to do it for 2, 3, 4 hours. It's a long time, isn't it? We need to take a break. Otherwise, the body suffers too. And the break usually means letting go slowly. But have you noticed? Now, when you entered a room, you felt the atmosphere was bad. You felt it was bad, but there was nothing bad about the environment. You sensed something bad in people, but you didn't see anything bad in them. And you felt the bad side of yourself, but you don't know what it is. What will your breathing be like? And when that happens, if you become possessed, it's like this. See, it's your breath and you can't get out of it. Why can't you get out of it? Because you're stuck in this rhythm, this ideology, this blockage, this tense self, which isn't always due to ideology or faith. You're stuck in it. You can't get out. Something has to change. Look at the wall. No, but there are three things. No, there have to be four. I have a compulsion. You have to find a balance. No, but hold on. What about your breathing? And what about breathing? Where's your breath? You're entering a room to do something compulsively where you don't need to do anything. All that's left is compulsion. That's basically what we're going to talk about today. I've talked about it before, actually, but that's why it's a somewhat complicated topic to understand. But look, you control your breathing, you control your breathing. But then there's me, you, who comes in and wants to control my breathing. And at that moment, you know the following. This one is very activated. The heart will race a little faster. It's activated. It's deactivating the vagus nerve. It's making you turn into a stopwatch. And you put someone there saying, breathe in and out, breathe in and out. Do you understand? This person is obsessed, possessed. This person needs to be controlled. But hold on a minute. We're not going to control this person from the outside. It's from within. They need to be in control, but they don't know. They didn't know. Because now when you breathe, you tense up. I was already tense. Breathe on top of it. And now safe. Hold on. Let go slowly. Slowly. Let go. He finished. It's a loop. You get stuck in a loop, and that loop is the devil in the room. It's an inner demon of yours that will trap you. It can trap you in a fight. It can trap you in a grudge you have, in a prejudice you hold. So what are you going to have to do? Take a deep breath, exhale. And if you are breathing well, you will have maximum essence. When you release all the air and hold it with an empty lung, and it becomes the whole again. And you feel the harmony in the environment, in things, in the little things. The world becomes a little better, more understandable, and more flexible. We need flexibility to live better. That's what I wanted to leave you with this Wednesday. Until next Wednesday.